Hi, everyone, and welcome to Get Hired Live. I'm your host, Andrew Seaman, LinkedIn's senior news editor for job searches and careers. I want to welcome you to today's show, as I always do, and ask you to introduce yourself in the comments. We always get so many wonderful people joining from around the world, and we want to hear from you. So just keep telling us a little bit about yourself. Tell us where you're from, maybe about your career, if you're in the middle of a job search, and, talk to each other. Some of the best conversations that I see are from people who help each other in the comments, and they actually end up helping each other find work or maybe job search together. In fact, I know some people who have Zoom meetings regularly after meeting in the comments section. Networking is the cornerstone of a successful job search, and there's no better time to start than right now. And in fact, I want to reach out and say hi to a few people who are joining us. We have Ronald from Bogota. We have a lot of people. We have Rada, we have Nancy, we have Kevin, we have Sherry, we have Julian. Welcome to all of you. Like I said, keep telling us a little bit about yourself in the comments. And also tell us your questions, because we have a really great guest today, and we're going to be getting to those questions in just a little bit. And in fact, I want to welcome our guest to the show right now, Daryl Ford. He is the Executive Vice President and Chief Human Resources Officer for UPS, a company that we all know. So welcome to the show.
Thank you, Andrew. Thank you. Glad to be here.
Yes, in fact, just before we went live, UPS delivered a package. So,
Outstanding.
So I have UPS package waiting downstairs for me. But yeah, no, thank you so much for joining us. You joined UPS at the start of the year after really a really busy time, and you have really an amazing track record. In fact, you have some fans in the comments. Mike said Daryl Ford equals excellence in action. So. And you've been at AT&T, DuPont, Xerox, so you really know the workforce and what it takes to lead a really giant company and giant personnel department, correct?
Yes, I do. I've got a little bit of experience around the world, so happy to provide a perspective.
Yeah, and I guess, can we start with learning a little bit about what UPS is sort of up to right now? Because obviously there was a ton of hiring during the pandemic, and you're getting ready to start sort of seasonal hiring, and you're actually probably in the thick of it. So what is the state of hiring and the workforce at UPS right now?
Yeah, no, happy to give you some context. But first, I want to give a shout out to Mike Coleman as well. Mike Coleman was an executive recruiter who did me. He was a great advisor sort of to me, and so I want to sort of thank him. But I think about the state of the union, kind of where we are now. Just tremendous opportunity. You think about the pandemic and kind of what we all went through as consumers, as a world in 2020, sort of with the pandemic. And in particular, e-commerce grew almost 30% within the year. And so last year, sort of this time, second quarter of last year, our teams were out sort of hiring almost 40,000 people just to get ready and meet the demand for the extra volume that was coming in through e-commerce and the surge that we were all experiencing. And so that's before we even get to peak, right? And so when you think about it from a growth standpoint, then you fast forward that to December, the end of the year, when the vaccine started coming out. And then UPS was one of the first to deliver the vaccine. And again, think about sort of delivering with purpose and the work that we do and connecting that to purposeful work. We've been up to that. Almost 700 million sort of doses have been delivered thus far. And we see line of sight to delivering over 1 billion. And so we're really excited about that. It gives our work true meaning, and we're getting ready for another successful peak.
Definitely. And I know, at least in New York City, when the pandemic was sort of raging, a lot of people, they didn't go outside, but we had, workers like UPS workers who were actually bringing us everything we needed, because, we weren't going to stores, we weren't going to places like that. And, I really appreciate that they were, out there doing their jobs under really uncertain and terrifying conditions. So your workers are really, I hope they got a good vacation eventually. And you're obviously looking for more workers because the holiday season is coming up. And I do want to give a quick shout out to a lot of the people in the comments who may be looking for seasonal work. And that's Nancy from Lebanon, Jenny from New York City, where I am, Lisette from Massachusetts, Thomas from North Carolina, Anne from Texas, Maggie from Wisconsin, Michelle from Brazil, and Megan from Ohio. And If people are looking for seasonal work, what are the plans at UPS? How many people are you looking to bring on? What are those types of jobs?
Yeah, so one, we have locations and operations in all of those locations, by the way. And so we're looking for almost 100,000 employees and seasonal workers, which are essential to helping our economy move forward. You think about the volume in particular during this period. Our volume almost doubles during the peak season. On average, we're about 20 million packages a day that we deliver. And so think about that from a scale perspective. We almost double during this sort of key time. And so with that, we need additional sort of help, and we have additional employment opportunities for many of you in all of those locations, right? So you think about not only package handlers, but drivers to help with that. When you think about PVDs, personal vehicle drivers, that you can actually drive your own personal vehicle and deliver packages during this time period to earn a little bit of extra cash. In fact, members of my family will do so this year to get some experience and help us out. And so we're going to have a little bit of fun with that in my family. And many of the UPSers are going to lean in and pitch in to help with this because it's a part of our culture. So almost 100,000 sort of roles are out there to help us deliver this, from helpers to drivers to package handlers.
Got it. And now, are any of those roles, obviously, you can't deliver a package remotely, but are you also hiring for remote roles?
We do hire for some remote roles, some. So actually on my team in particular, as we think about recruiting and doing some of that to actually help with the candidate flow, we have almost 300 positions that we're hiring onto my team as we speak. Some of those positions are remote. That can help us sort of work the candidate pipeline to make sure that the candidates and the employee experience is actually a good one.
Got it. And so who should apply for these roles? Because there's obviously people who, they've made their living in logistics, they've made their living maybe doing customer service and things like that. But then for a seasonal role, because, it says it all in the name that this may not be something that really lasts beyond a few months, who should apply for these roles or who should consider them?
Well, all are welcome. All are welcome, whether men, women, veterans, college students, all are welcome to apply. If you're in between sort of roles and looking for an opportunity to earn some extra cash, this is a great opportunity for you to sort of get involved, to help out, and to work shift work part-time. We have flexibility there too, for you to come out and earn some extra cash. So actually all are welcome. It's part of who we are as a company. We think you belong at UPS, and we're looking forward to your participation and your contributions, because it's a great place to start a career. Because yes, we're looking for seasonal jobs, but many of these jobs turn into full-time employment over time. And so we can go into some of those details in particular. When I think about the workforce today, almost 138,000 at last count of our employees started out as part-time seasonal workers. Just think about that, 138,000, almost a third of our workforce started out as part-time. Two members of my team started out as part-time supervisors, and they've now become officers within the company. And so this is reflective of who we are as a company and the opportunities here at UPS.
Definitely. And in fact, I saw in the comments before the show, someone named Patrick, who now works as a mortgage broker, said that he started as a seasonal worker part-time in 1984 in the preload department, and then became involved in HR, was the HR rep for his state and then district. And he spent 20 years at UPS after joining as a seasonal worker.
Oh, well, that's awesome, Patrick. We have a little bit of something in common too. So 1984, summer of 84, I worked as a part-time unloader when I was working my way through school and taking some summer classes, and had a great opportunity in between football practice and everything else, taking some classes, earning a little bit of extra cash as well. I had a great experience at UPS. And then, sort of some 20 plus years later, here I am.
Maybe you work with Patrick.
Yeah.
Yeah, and while we're here, I just want to also say hello to a few people in the comments. Alexis from Florida, Justin from Boston, Rose from California, Andrew from the UK. We have Manawara from Canada. She tunes in often. Tammy from South Carolina, Nana from Dubai, Tony from Maryland, Audrey from Ghana, Jasmine from Germany, Michael from New York, and Jim from Pittsburgh. So hello to all of you. Remember to get your questions in because we'll be getting to those in just a bit. And Daryl, I guess, another question would be that when you're looking to hire, who are you, what are you looking for in someone who wants work? Because obviously, there is a hiring process involved. So what is your advice to people who say, what are you looking for? What are you looking for in a potential employee?
Yeah, so some of that depends on the job, of course, right? Particular sort of skills or capabilities. Some of that depends on the job. But broader than that, when I think about it, at least in my experience, and I'll give it to you in my own words here, it's really, we're looking for character. We're looking for character. We're looking for someone that has a service mindset that is in service of others. We're looking for someone that is a team player. Because when I think about the network and I think about the opportunities, the reliability, the engagement with our customers, character matters. When I think about the teamwork that's required, I've got examples after examples of UPSers, arm in arm, sort of working the operations to get things done. That's really important as well. And so being of service too, you think about what we do. We don't provide a particular product. We don't make a actual product or manufacture it. We provide a service. And so with service, being in service of others, good customer service is going to be important. And so having the right attributes and mindsets around that, I think are helpful.
Yeah, definitely. And, you're someone who obviously has navigated their career very successfully, and you've seen others navigate their careers and figure out what works for them and their lives. And for people who say, okay, I'm looking for a job, there's seasonal work, and, how does this fit in with what I want to do? What is your advice to people who maybe they don't know how to make a seasonal job work for them? Because obviously motivations are different. What's your suggestion for people who say, maybe, I do want to stick around UPS? How do they make that happen?
Yeah, well, I think the first part is sort of, if you want to stick around at UPS, we would welcome and we would have you. And so I think that's first and foremost. I think it's about making your intentions known, and you got to get started. It's kind of like the lottery. You got to be in it to win it. You got to be in it and go apply in order for you to gain employment. And so come apply, get started with a company. It's not the end of the world. It's just a season. It's just a season. And so if you want to stay on afterwards, then make your intentions known. Make your intentions known to your supervisor, to your HR leader. And then from there, good things happen. And again, I go back to almost a third of our workforce today started out as part-time seasonal work. And several of them have stayed with us, 138,000. And then some have gone on to become leaders within this organization at the highest levels. So I think it starts there. And I think it starts with choosing the right company as well. And so think about the work that you want to do and what you would like to do in your career, your aspirations. Think about that. And then I think about the company, because the company matters. We're a company that's growing. And so being a part of a company that's growing with opportunities is a great place to be because it's dynamic. And then it creates opportunities for employment as well as development and growth. And so choosing the right company, I think, is a big part of that. And I think UPS is a great place to start.
Right. And what other opportunities exist within UPS? Because obviously, we mentioned seasonal hiring, but also, UPS is one of those companies that, like you said, you're all over the world. And really the breadth of what your company does is really remarkable, because I know I've covered stories about UPS delivering by drone. So there's obviously people who are flying things around. You have, people who are flying packages around the world. So what other opportunities really exist within the UPS ecosystem?
Well, I'm glad you bring that up. It's pretty fascinating, especially as I come into the company and I've been sort of traveling the world to see the operations and get to know many of the UPSers around the world. And when I think about those opportunities, so first and foremost, you can go to upsjobs.com, and you can see all of those opportunities around the world. That's probably the first place to kind of get an inventory of what's out there already. But after that, we hire everything from package handlers to drivers or truck drivers to software engineers. There's a lot of technology that's behind the scenes that makes all of this possible. And when you think about developers, mechanics, meteorologists also being hired here, drone operators, pilots. We run the ninth largest airline in the world. So think about that for a minute. So pilots, mechanics are also pretty important to us. And so again, there's a complicated network of individuals and systems in order to make this experience for you come to life. And it's a great place for diversified skill set.
Definitely, yeah. It's always really incredible when you look at a company like UPS and you look at, what you're hiring for, and you see things that you would never really expect, and you realize that, and you have to have recruiters that can say, hey, is this, to evaluate that. So it's really remarkable, the hiring process that you must oversee. And when you have such a large workforce, and you're talking tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people, how do you create career opportunities for them? Because we have a lot of people in the comments who are saying, I started as a part-time package handler, I started part-time HR, and I've been there 13 years, things like that. So how does UPS, when you have so many people, say, hey, we're going to give you, a chance to stay here for as long as you really like? So what, how do you even start to think about that? And what should people expect once they're within the organization?
Yeah, I think first and foremost, for me, it starts with the actual operating model for UPS. One, I go back to its dynamic, right? There's growth. Think about that 30% sort of growth in e-commerce, 30% growth in the company. And for a company like us that's growing, those opportunities present themselves, not only through acquisitions, but also too, people retire. And so it creates a nice flow across the organization for those opportunities. So now that you have those openings, then we're looking for the right talent to fill those jobs. And so that's when talent identification comes into play, making your intentions known, applying. You got to actually apply in order to make your intentions known. But we also look at talent development, getting known through some of our BRGs, business resource groups, once you get involved. Again, through our development and leadership development and training. I think that's another way of getting access. And then posting for jobs as well. When you think about opportunities and jobs that you may see that will sort of propel you to the next level in your career, again, a great opportunity for you to apply within, that you can have multiple careers and choices and opportunities inside UPS, one company. And there are countless examples of where that is the case, where people have started out as drivers and then moved into HR or finance or cybersecurity. And so, again, wonderful opportunities based upon your interests. And this is a great place for you to be.
It sounds like it. And when it comes to younger people who are just entering the workforce, or maybe they're still in college, we have a question here from Sam and Janelle, and they're wondering about internship opportunities. I assume UPS probably has a few of those, right?
We have a few intern opportunities for sure. When I think about sort of intern opportunities, and some of these are growing, and I'm going to give a shout out to our teams in IT and engineering. They probably do it the best within the organization as far as providing those opportunities through internships. And they've been involved for many years in sort of setting out those opportunities. But also too within marketing. In HR, we're starting our intern programs as well, and we have partnerships with various schools. Finance is considering something similar. So there's opportunities for internships at UPS, and we're getting very intentional about cultivating that early career strategy within our human capital priorities. And so again, opportunities for interns, it's a great way to learn, get some experience, get some practical experience as well. And then you can start your career from there.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think, I did internships with a lot of big companies when I was
Mm.
coming up, and it's really invaluable to learn sort of that organizational structure, and it's really amazing the people that you meet who flow through there, and it's a great way to build your network too.
Yeah.
And I want to make sure that we save time for questions from the audience, and I want to give a quick shout out to Remy from Atlanta, Janelle from Texas, Carrie from Canada, and Charles from Hong Kong. Keep getting your questions in because we're going to start taking them right now. And Daryl, I guess we could start with a few questions about when it comes to hiring practices, what people look for, and we have one from Laurel who asked, basically, how important are cover letters in the hiring process? Is that something recruiters at UPS look for? What is your advice to applicants?
Yeah, so one at UPS, depending on the type of job, you can actually sort of apply for a role, and again for seasonal work in particular, you can apply for a role and be considered for an offer within about 30 minutes. So our whole digital experience is improving, and we've been speeding that up. And so just think about that for a minute for seasonal work, that you can do that and potentially get an offer within 30 minutes. So that's outstanding. Then you think about some of the other sort of professional recruiting and then the use of cover letters. It is a nice courtesy. I think for organizations in particular, you don't know what their practice is or expectation. So better to err on the side of providing the cover letter, providing the follow-up once you're engaged as well, I think is helpful. And then, of course, making sure that you have a professional resume is fundamental. You got to have that so that we can actually sort of see the capabilities that you have and do that pretty quickly. But I would say cover letter, helpful, continue to do that. I wouldn't discard that practice just yet.
Got it. And Marlene wants to know, what about thank you notes?
Thank you notes are a nice courtesy because it gives you an opportunity to engage once again, another touch point with your potential employer. I think about some of my own experiences in particular, having that touch point, again, forming a relationship. You're trying to connect and create a relationship, form a relationship. And so the more touch points that you have, the better. And so whether that yields or not, but you actually want to be in the game and create those touch points in those moments.
Got it. And and you mentioned before sort of the speed of the hiring process, and that really within 30 minutes for some seasonal roles, you could be considered for a job. And
Mm.
we had a question in the stream earlier from someone who wanted to know about the length of the hiring process. And I assume that probably depends on the job itself, right?
Yeah, it depends on the job. So we have everything from the seasonal hires sort of there and our PVDs and our helpers, where within 30 minutes, right, you could be considered for an opportunity. And then for other more professional sort of opportunities, it does take longer. The interview process is more rigorous. And so that's naturally going to take sort of a longer period of time. So it depends on the job there, but this is UPS. Speed, reliability, quickness. That's kind of what we're after, and we're looking for that in our hiring practices as well to make sure that we get the right talent at the right place at the right time.
Yeah, and I assume also for people who often wonder if there is a lengthy hiring process, really as someone who works in HR and who oversees recruitment practices, the idea is to make it as speedy as possible because that's one way to actually attract talent. You don't want people languishing in the hiring process, right?
Yeah, this is one of my pet peeves, right? This is one of my pet peeves, and one of the things that we're working on as an organization, and I call it the candidate experience. And really thinking about what is it like to be a candidate applying to UPS. And this is something we're going to continue to work on. This is a continuous improvement sort of type opportunity to make sure that one, we can take the friction out of the process. So that's sort of my sort of view of that. Take the friction out so that it's a more seamless, user-friendly type experience, a more digital experience as well. And of course, making sure that it's intuitive. That you're not having to go from form to form to form, having to carry over codes from one form to the next form. That's a waste of time, and you're more likely to stop the process than complete it. And so for us is how do we take the friction out, have the right data at the right time to make a decision so we can move you through in the process. And again, candidate experience matters.
Yeah, obviously, and we have a question here from Janelle, and this is something I think that resonates with a lot of people right now. Is how do you break into a new industry? Because I assume UPS is on the receiving end of a lot of people who say, "Hey, I want to try this now. I've done this in a previous job, but now I want to do something else." So, what's your advice for people looking to change careers and move into something new?
Yeah, I think if you want to start to do something new, I think, and I'm speaking from my own experiences, I haven't always been in HR. And so I've had to start something new and sort of switch over as I found my calling sort of in HR. And in doing so, it started with being inquisitive, being curious, starting to talk to a number of people who are in the, and if I just use HR as an example, in the HR space. How can I learn from some others? Mike Coleman, who we mentioned earlier in this sort of call, he was one of the people that I reached out to and connected with him, who gave me good perspective on the opportunities. And so networking, getting connected, learning is a great place to start. And then again, getting involved after that at the various companies that have those opportunities for you.
Yeah, and you mentioned candidate experience earlier, and we have a question from Pat that I think is really interesting, where they ask, how do you take the friction out of the process? But obviously, that's on the hiring side. But for a candidate, how can a person be a good candidate? In terms of the relationship they have with the employer during the process. What is sort of your
Mhm.
ideal candidate to have an experience with?
Well, maybe for this question, Andrew, I'll sort of flip it. I'll tell you some of the things in the last maybe 30 days that haven't gone so well
Sounds
for,
good.
for candidates. These are practical things that I would share. So, one, having your phone number actually in the application would be helpful. And I'm being a little facetious here, but we got to call you back, and so that would be important. Having the correct email address, kind of important. These are sort of the details sort of matter in all of that. When we do call you back, making sure that you don't block our phone when we call you back for the job opportunity. Again, so you might not want to send us to spam if you're looking for a job. These are three things top of mind that have come up in the last 30 days that I wanted to share.
Those are very good tips. If you're looking for a job, you want to be available to actually get the call to say you're hired. And we have a question here from Stephen about the labor shortages that are going on. What is UPS doing about that? Have you been hit by that, or have you noticed it? What has been your view on that situation?
Yeah, we have definitely noticed it, and we've been watching this sort of pretty carefully. When you have to hire 100,000 people over the next sort of several weeks, the labor shortages are real, and we see that in the candidate flow, and we also see that as we talk to some of the candidates as well, in their experiences. You see the big opportunities in the news. Sorry, the big quit, right? And we see that sort of in the news, but we also see this as the big opportunity as well. And so for us, tapping into motivations, having a very compelling offer as well, when you think about tuition reimbursement, attractive salaries, the fact that you can actually have a career. This is not just a job. You can actually have a career, a pretty diverse career at UPS. Is just one of those examples, and I would sort of focus on that. The shortage is real. There's available candidates out there. We have to make it compelling. But I think with a compelling offer, that I'm pretty confident that we'll have more than our fair share of talent when it comes to this marketplace.
And also, and I think that goes back, like you said, to candidate experience and things like that. When there are these labor shortages, it puts more pressure on companies to say, "Hey, what are we doing, and how can we make things better for candidates?" Because that's one way to attract them and actually get them to want to work there.
Spot on, right? You don't
Yeah.
want people to stop in the middle of the process before you've actually completed. So again, candidate experience matters. Taking the friction out is one of the things that we're after.
And for the last question, I saved this because I thought it was great to end on. Mark asked, as you were moving up in your career, is there a bit of advice from one of your mentors that you still carry with you today?
Oh, so many pieces of advice. The So maybe the one that I would give you that I often repeat is be bold. Be bold and take risk. Um, that if you have aspirations, as we all do, that being bold, taking calculated risk in order to achieve them, because you never quite know where it may take you. And so sometimes we can talk ourselves out of that opportunity. We can talk ourselves into being conservative. We can talk ourselves into sort of not making that extra phone call. Uh, be bold, be curious, and make your intentions known. And I trust and believe that the universe will respond accordingly.
I think that's some great advice. Even here at LinkedIn, we talk about intelligent risk, and that's what we try to take. Well, thank you so much for joining us, and I hope people were looking at the bottom of the screen and seeing your LinkedIn profile, because you share great stuff. In fact, your ride along with a driver was really great to
Yeah.
see. So thank you.
Oh, very good. No, I appreciate it, and I'll share some more during this holiday season when I get out there as a helper in a PVD. I'll share a few more of those stories as well.
Please do, and I know who to call if I can't find my package. So thank you so much, Daryl, for joining us. I really appreciate it. And I hope all of you took a lot from that conversation. I'm sure you did. And we have these conversations regularly. In fact, I'll be back next week with the COO of One Salting, Jerry Lee. That'll be Friday, October 22nd at 12 p.m. Eastern Time. That's Jerry Lee. My producers should be dropping the link for that in the comments right now. So be sure to tune in for that at 12 p.m. Eastern Time on Friday, October 22nd. And we also have other programming that happens on the LinkedIn news page. In fact, next week, my colleague Nina Melendez will be talking to some experts about the 4-day work week. That is on Monday, October 18th, and whether the 4-day work week and if it's a solution to burnout and inefficiency. There's actually a lot of data on that from Iceland, Japan, and even the US, and there's ongoing projects happening in Spain right now. So tune in Monday, October 18th at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. You don't want to miss that conversation. And until next time, please take care of yourself. Be careful. The pandemic's still in flux, so pay attention to your local health authorities and their guidance, because you could only get hired, you could only get a job if you're healthy and well enough to do so. So until next time, best of luck.